Hola amigos, it's Nelly. Today I want to do a little lecture on a topic called quiet quitting. It is a hotly talked about topic in the last couple of years. I've had some experience with this in a few jobs that I've done. So today I want to talk about ethics of quiet quitting, how to implement quiet quitting. I have a bunch of slides, but it's going to be a lot more, telling you my stories, my experiences, and then you implement them in whatever way you'd like. So I've titled this Quiet Quitting, the Art of the QQ. Let me know, obviously, if you guys have any questions after this video, after this lecture, and I'll be happy to answer anyone in the comments down below. So what is quiet quitting is the first question people are going to ask, and this is the TLDR definition. It's doing the absolute minimum at work, just getting by. It's not going into your boss and saying, I want to quit. You don't whisper in their ears and say, I want to quit quietly. That's way too literal of a meaning. Here's my definition of it. I would say using free time at work to build out your goals and dreams. Quiet quitting has a lot of negative connotation depending on which part of the world you're in. In North America, when I used to work for engineering companies, working 40 hours, which is what you're paid to do, was like, oh wow, he's not really trying at work. Meanwhile, this is actually the definition of quiet quitting. It's working just the amount that you need to work. In my occupation, my last occupation, engineering, the expectation was to work 50 hours, even though the salary and every contract you have was always written for 40-hour work weeks. So it depends a little bit on the location, but I like my definition better than the media hype up. Oh, it's just someone that does nothing at work, or it's someone that's lazy. That's not really it. It's someone that's doing exactly what they're paid to do. They're not doing below what they're supposed to do, and they're not going above and beyond because that's not what they're paid to do. Let's talk about the ethics of quiet quitting. Pondering this question many times. I'll share a story from a friend of mine who was recently messaged me devastated. He was working for this company. He was working long hours. He was putting in extra time. He was doing everything to appease the overlords above him. And then one day he just got fired, simply due to budgetary reasons. Most companies do not care about you on a personal level. Maybe the management, the people around you might like you, they might hate you, so they might have some sort of relationship with you based on that. But companies as a whole, they just see you as a number. What are you doing for them? How much do you bring in for them? How much are you losing for them? And at the end of the day, when the going gets tough, they're gonna make decisions based on their own interests. So I think you should do the best you can to protect your own interests, your own goals, your own time, your own sanity, stress, stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, we can argue about philosophies back and forth about, oh, is it okay to maybe say no to every task? Is it okay to do the minimum? There's a lot of different ways we can go. I would just say try your best to keep your own interests first. No matter how nice your boss is, no matter how good the company is, at the end of the day, I look at it as just a job, and I look at it as something that I do, but not something that I'm gonna go head over heels for. I would do that for friends, for loved ones, for other people that I care about, their dreams, their goals. I would do above and beyond for those kinds of things, but I would never really look at a company or a business and think, they're entitled to me giving 110% every day. When should you implement QQ? So here's some guidelines which influence my decision to implement quiet quitting. So when you have goals or dreams beyond the standard 9 to 5, which I'm assuming a lot of people that are in this program are going to have. When you feel stagnant, I've felt this many times in my engineering career. If you feel building your own thing would be more satisfying and yield better results. If you don't like your current career, that one hits a little close to home for me. Maybe that's not it for everyone, but I would say when you're a little bit more ambitious than the little box that you have that's giving you those opportunities. So when you want to get outside of that box, the only way to do that, in my opinion, without taking forever, is to start taking these little steps and really focusing on your own goals. Don't QQ just to be lazy and watch Netflix at work. I think if you're going to do the bare minimum and then you're going to take that free time that you've earned and you're not really going to invest it in anything else just to be lazy, I think that's a really bad way to go about quiet quitting. So results of implementing QQ, this is from my own experience. This is some things I've noticed. So here's some cons. You won't be your manager's favorite employee. Sorry, it's not possible. The guys that are going to be the favorite employee are the guys that are working 50, 60 hours and they're going above and beyond every single day, kiss-assing and playing into every office politics situation that they can. You probably won't get raises as often. Although I will say this, I have gotten raises even as a guy that does minimum at work, so never say never. You will not move up the ladder quickly, if at all. To be fair, this could actually happen even if you're putting in 110%. So to me, I don't even know if I should put that as a con. I should just say that as something that could happen even if you are doing above and beyond. Pros. Here's the pros that I noticed immediately. I had more free time, I had less stress, and I wasn't the first guy to get called in for overtime. So those are all beautiful pros to quiet quitting. What is the goal of quiet quitting? To me, it's to quit. Number 2 is C1. That's me being funny. Haha. To eventually have enough freedom, whether that's through your abilities or through your monetary freedom, to focus on working things you want to do, things that you enjoy more. This could be many different things. We could talk about switching careers, which was a big one for me. Being your own boss, running your own business, having your own clients, working on your own time, really huge, or living somewhere else. There's a million different reasons why you might be doing quiet quitting. How I utilize quiet quitting. So my story is one with engineering. My first engineering job, I kind of sensed that something was off, that I wasn't really in the right place. And I gave it some time, but I realized as time progressed that this wasn't going to be my field. So as soon as I realized that I was falling out of love in engineering, I started asking questions like, well, what do I enjoy doing? And how can I get to that next thing the quickest way possible? What are my priorities? How do I maximize my time? So let's talk about some different ways to get the most out of quiet quitting. I've left a bunch of different clouds here. That would be just something for you to fill out. How can you utilize the free time you save at work? So for me, I wrote down quite a few different things that I used to do at these engineering jobs that were completely unrelated to my actual engineering. So I would go into work, and when I knew I wanted to go into content, I would start writing out scripts. I would start emailing people. I would start, go on social media and, creating networks. I would try to just have as many tasks that I can bring in that I would be able to do during my downtime at work. So let's give you a scenario. Let's say my boss says, oh, I need you to do some testing on this car. I come into work. I say, yeah, no problem. This is going to take, I just say 8 hours. And he's like, cool. So it'll be done by end of day. Yeah, it'll be done end of day. I finish in the first 4 hours, and then that gives me 4 hours to really focus in and lock in on what I want to do. So I would literally write out scripts for videos. I would bring in edits of my videos and watch them and then write down notes of how I can change my edits. You can be as creative as you want in whatever career that you're pursuing. You just have to take some time to figure out what you can get out of this, because if you have this free time, time is a very valuable asset. You can build on other things that you want to go towards. So for me, I was building out my skill sets. I knew I wasn't going to get the monetary freedom route from this. So I said, okay, I'm going to become a really good content creator. I'm going to spend a lot of time learning the ins and outs of this game, so one day I can transition and not have to do this. And this took a lot of time. This was 3 different engineering jobs that I had before I was actually able to switch careers. So speaking of some of the things that I kind of managed to do during my, let's say, downtime at quiet quitting, I've highlighted the stuff in greenish, teal, whatever color. Those pieces of content, in one way or another, I was able to do a good amount of it at work. So allegedly. But anyways, the FIFA job is a 41-minute video I made, and it took me 3 months to make. And every time I had downtime at work, I would write down script ideas. I would go back and come up with clever jokes. I would watch the first draft of footage and be like, this timing isn't right on this transition, or I would say, it needs a little bit something here. And I would just build on this video. And this video was actually a massive catalyst for me being able to find jobs later on in a completely different sector. So I was using my downtime with quiet quitting to build out my secondary career. I have the FIFA IRL video, which is a video I shot with a drone. Also, I built out the script and the layout of the video, the outline during my free time. Same thing with the other 2 videos, which both garnished a lot of views and became very useful down the road as my own portfolio. If you're interested, you can check out my full portfolio on Wellfound. So I've left a link down there for you. I've made all kinds of content. It's not a plug. It's just to show you the different kinds of things I've been able to make and the skill sets I was trying to always kind of develop and improve. So we come down to the most important part, the execution. This will be tailored towards what your job is, how much free time you have, what kind of managers you have, how time-oriented your tasks are. There's a lot of different factors that will be taken into account for you to apply this specifically to you. For me, I was an engineer in a cubicle with some supervision here and there, but I was not being micromanaged, so I found plenty of opportunities to focus on my own things when I did finish my tasks at work. If you have a remote job at home and you have time-oriented tasks that you can finish earlier, I mean, that gives you so much freedom to really focus on whatever you want to do, whether it's building out clients. So when you transition to freelancer, you have a big data pool of people you can contact right away, building out a skill set, or having some sort of secondary side gig that's giving you a little extra money, which gives you a little extra freedom. But I'd like to point this part out here. This is just like a general goal oriented. It can be applied to anyone, these things that I've outlined. So understanding your goal. My goal was very clear. I did not want to be engineering. My goal was to be in a different career, content creator. So that's the goal. And then we can break that down into smaller goals. How do I edit videos? How do I write scripts? How do I do social media management? There's different skill sets that I can come in and work on every day. Setting a time, have some sort of deadline objective that you can work towards, and it's going to become a lot easier for you to stay motivated and also keep yourself accountable. Be greedy. This one is a very important one. There will be times where you will be tested. Understand that you're number one. You're the most important thing. Obviously, to a certain extent, you don't want to get fired, but at the same time, you don't want to always bend the knee to someone above you. Have a little bit of, a power within yourself to just say, yeah, you have that extra overtime project this weekend. Make something up. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. I have time with my family. I scheduled a trip. I can't book it. I can't help you with your project. Whatever it takes to keep yourself on track. Because what I've noticed in engineering was a lot of people would bend the knee a few times, and then it would become the habit of bending knees. They would do it almost always, like they've been trained or programmed to do so. And they would get some maybe extra money out of it, but they would lose a lot of other things. They would lose time with friends and family. They would just be generally less happy. They would be tired. I would see people coming into work looking like zombies just because they worked the entire weekend and they didn't have any time off. So be very, very greedy in what you're trying to achieve here. Don't feel bad. Companies, jobs, don't feel bad. There's a million of them. I've had a bunch of different jobs. I've changed my whole outlook on work and bosses and trying to appease people or trying to just like give everyone everything. It's not always tangible, and some people, even when you do that, they don't appreciate it. So don't feel bad because you're taking some time to do your own thing. Don't look back. If you've decided this path, stick to it and keep going forward. Moderate based on situations at work. So kind of an obvious one, but if you have a crisis at work and it's all hands on deck and everyone is being monitored and watched, yeah, make sure that you're doing everything you can to, hold your place in your position. Don't just wander off into the abyss and focus on your own things when, let's say, the company's in crisis mode, right? So, and then there's times where it's like downtimes in any season. In automotive engineering, there was a lot of downtimes during the year after production, and there was a lot of times where there was nothing to do, and people at work would just like watch Netflix on their phone, and I would just continue thinking like, oh my God, there's this extra free time to work on my own projects. This is awesome. So make the most of those opportunities, and don't be afraid to say no and ignore certain requests. Kind of talked about it earlier, but hold yourself accountable to saying no. Make sure that you are fully aware of what you're trying to achieve and say no to certain tasks. So I hope that was somewhat interesting, a combination of explaining what quiet quitting is and my own tales of quiet quitting and potentially how you can implement it. Let me know if you have any comments. I would love to, answer any questions you guys might have, and I'll see you there.